All right, guys, let's sling a little bit of lead out of this 9mm AKV here from Palmetto State Armory. Cool stuff. Let's do it. Right. Guys, welcome back. This is Eric here with Iraq Veteran 8888. Okay, I've been following the AKV for a long time, and only recently have I had a chance to get my hands on one of these things. They are fantastic. Now, I know that they've gone through a couple of changes here and there. We're going to definitely get into that. No problem today. I'd like to take a moment to thank the folks at Big Daddy Unlimited for supporting us. Look, right now with COVID going on, supply in terms of parts, accessories, ammo has been really tough. They've been doing a great job making sure that we get what we need to, keep the videos flowing for y'all, especially in the way of ammo right now. Those were some Syntech Action Pistol subs, sounding really nice here. Some people have said that the AKV from Palmetto State, this particular gun, some people have said it doesn't suppress that well. There with those 150 grain subs, I would say that it's definitely hearing safe. Now with the supers, it's going to crack a little bit more. We're running a Silencer Co. Omega 9K on the front of this particular gun. The barrel is threaded 1/2 x 28, and it does actually have the rotational stud, just like you would expect on a normal AK, the little plunger that you can depress, and it actually holds that suppressor on there really nice, okay? Nice and tight, and it actually indexes against the little shoulder here on the Omega 9K. So this actually is a really good suppressor fit for this particular gun in terms of being a host, okay? It is a blowback. You do have a last round bolt hold open, and I could really feel the mass of that bolt lock into the rear on the last shot there. I had no problem knowing that it was the last round in the magazine just because of that weight coming to a stop on the bolt catch. You can certainly feel it. It does have a manual bolt stop on the left side of the receiver that you can get to. It can be a little bit weird to get to just because, you've got to be able to pull the bolt back and push up, but that's just a manual of arms type of thing. No problem there. It is a crank inspired type of setup, so you do have a hinged top cover. You got a full rail on top. As an optics mount, working just fine. It does lock in nice and tight, okay? We're running a Sig Sauer Romeo 5 on this, which is, nice, inexpensive red dot, but still high quality, and I thought it would go really well with this particular setup. You do have, like on typical cranks, a pistol length sight radius with just a really simple, crude rear sight, like you'll find on most cranks, and an adjustable front sight for windage and elevation. The way that they did this particular gun is very, very clever. This particular one has a Geisley ALG trigger, so really nice trigger. All right, it's wearing a Magpul Mo AK grip. It's wearing the Palmetto State Armory receiver extension that has an AR tube, and this one is wearing a SB Tactical SB3 brace, okay? But Palmetto also makes the triangle style folding mechs, as well as the braces that you can get to give it a true crank look, okay? The magazines are still paddle release, and the paddle is nice and big. Plenty of space with that paddle to get to with your thumb when you're doing your magazine changes, okay? And it's got some nice texturing right there, a little bit of knurling, which is easy to get to. This particular gun is wearing, of course, a Magpul Mo 4-end, which has M-LOK accessory slots. There is a QD point on the SB3 brace. There is no QD point up front, although there is a standard sling mount that you would find on a traditional AK gas block. Of course, if you wanted a QD point, you could simply just add an M-LOK QD point anywhere along the axis of this rail that you want where you've got M-LOK accessory slots. Let's shoot the gun a little bit more. The construction of the gun is really clever. I love the throw of the bolt. The trigger is great. Here's some more of the Federal Simtech. This is 150 grain, and these are subsonic. Now, I do have a couple of mags to test, but the majority of the magazines that we're testing today are from Palmetto State Armory, okay? Good stuff. All right, last round bolt hold open, nice and discernible. I could really feel it lock. I knew when it was gonna lock. Now, just like the CZ magazines, there's a tab in the rear of the magazine that pushes the last round bolt hold open device up on the gun. It's the same way it actuates the bolt hold open latch on the CZ, okay? I do have a factory CZ magazine. I've read a varying amount of accounts about compatibility, so let's try the factory CZ Scorpion mag. Now, that's important to talk about. It's magazine compatibility. They designed this gun to be compatible with CZ Scorpion magazines. Now, Palmetto makes their own magazine, of course, and I believe, let me double check on that. Yeah, these, I believe the standards are 35 shots, okay, on the PSA magazines. The CZs hold 30 rounds, and they also make a 20 round magazine. And then also, they make a 15 round extension for their 35, which gets a standard magazine to a 50 shot stick. And Palmetto is also offering 50 round drum magazines, which we're gonna test that in just a moment. All right, this is some tool ammo 115. Now this stuff's gonna crack a little bit louder, and we're gonna be testing this gun with the CZ magazine, okay? All right, a little bit tighter fit. Okay, I always love the smoke appearance on those mags. You can, get a discernible round count just by looking down. That's kind of handy. All right, these are gonna crack a little bit louder. They're moving hotter. Steel case ammo. All right, last round bolt hold open, works great. Little bit tighter fit in the mag well. They don't drop as easily, but they are functional, okay? Let's try one of our extendos here. I do have some carry ammunition we're gonna test out as well, so we're definitely trying to test out a variety of ammunition today. All right, we're gonna move on to our first 50 rounder. Okay, this is 50 rounds of Norma 115 grain, their range load, which is just kind of their plinking load. All right, so some Norma here, 115. Look at that. That's Looney Tunes, man, I love it. Okay, 50 rounds. Here we go, ding dong. Failure to feed. Okay, I'm gonna pause for a moment here. Since we had the failure to feed, I wanna mention something. So Tim got one of these AKVs really early on, okay? And he observed that sometimes a spent case or maybe even a loaded round that failed to feed could actually find its way into the action and lock the gun up in a really weird way that would almost require you to disassemble it to get the round out of the action. So they added this thing in there called a Mac bracket, and that's supposed to alleviate that. I did notice that the round was easy to clear. It could not find its way back into the action, so that's something that they did fix and alleviate. This gun has not been without its teething issues from early on. I know guys like Rob over at AK Operators Union, of course Tim at Military Arms Channel, Mike at Mr. Guns and Gear were able to get some of these kind of early on, and they were able to identify quite a few problems. I haven't been able to get my hands on one of these until recently, but just know that it's had a few teething issues, but they seem to have gotten most of that worked out. Let's continue shooting. And one thing I'll mention too, the safety. Super, super easy to work the safety. And it's got this nice, I guess you would consider it a, nice thumb rest here to be able to get the safety on and off. Very, very intuitive and easy to use. All right, let's see if we get this thing to feed. All right. Okay. I will mention the 115 grain Norma ammo was a little bit gassy. I was getting a bit of blowback in my face, even through the top cover. Some of the gas was getting all the way back through the rear of the top cover. So it's a little gassy. With full powered ammunition, the subs are definitely the way to go in terms of shooting suppress, but it seems to eat whatever we can throw in it. All right, we are getting it pretty hot, and that's cool. Nothing wrong with that. I do have a couple of Manticore magazines at the house. I forgot to bring them, unfortunately. And I also have some Magpul P-Mags, all right? So expect a future video where we're gonna test a whole bunch of different magazines through both the Scorpion and the AKV. So expect that in a future video. I'll kind of go through the motions on that in a future video. I wanted to just use the mags I had here, no problem. Okay, 147 grain Spear gold dot ammunition. We got a whole mag of that, 35 rounds. Okay, so testing it with some defensive ammunition here. See how that goes. Of course, our suppressor, we absolutely do not have to worry about the suppressor walking around or doing anything weird because it's locked in there with that detent, which is really cool. The little Romeo 5 is working out great. The gun itself, it is a little hefty. Okay, I would say it weighs a little bit more than a Scorpion, and it definitely weighs more than like an APC 9K or a Strybog, but it's got that like beefy feel, like because the weight of it is well balanced, although a little heavier, it has absolutely zero felt recoil, especially with the suppressor. It's super smooth shooting. And I expect this, this is standard pressure gold dot. I expect this ammunition to be soft shooting and very pleasing to the ear with the suppressor. Okay, Spear gold dots. All right, you ready for some sodas? How about some soda action? What do you think? Let's do it. Ah, no you don't. Get out of here. Yeah. Okay, a little gassy. Okay. A little bit gassy. A little bit of gas back in the face. A little pitchy. Now the Omega 9K, there are higher volume 9mm cans you can get that probably take the edge off a little bit better. But because this thing's a blowback and you got this big hunking, reciprocating mass going on with the bolt, it is a rather heavy bolt. It probably doesn't suppress as well as some other options out there, okay? Stuff like the radially delayed blowback that you see in the CMMGs and stuff, those suppress extremely well. I will say the accuracy of this gun is definitely completely par for the course for what you would expect out of any quality PCC from any manufacturer. I would pit this thing against a Strybog, against a B&T, I'd pit it against a CMMG any day. So the accuracy is definitely fantastic out of this gun. And the pistol caliber carbine stuff tends to do well in that regard, just because you have such a rigid barrel, okay? And with the short rigid barrels that you see on PCCs, especially in a pistol configuration, they just have excellent harmonics. And I've also, Chad and I both have found throughout the years that a lot of these guns tend to prefer the heavier projectiles in terms of the optimal accuracy. Heavy projectiles, 124 or better, moving at standard pressures. Although I will say that many of the other PCCs that we've tested with plus P and plus P plus pressure ammunition run just fine and show no signs of having any difficulty or issues, okay? Really, really cool stuff. I mean, what a fantastic gun. All right, we're gonna keep moving. So far, the only issue, we had one failure to feed on the 50-round magazine with the extension, and the trigger on the ALG failed to reset one time. I had to reach up and just push the trigger forward gently to get it to reset. So far, everything's working pretty good. All right, now, I've got my reservations about how well this mag's gonna run. So this is some of that Winchester steel case forged ammo. And when we were loading this magazine, we noticed that this mag was really difficult to load, okay? And I don't know how good this stuff's gonna run, but we're trying to run this with a variety of different ammunition just to really test the platform out and see how it does. Man, what a great gun. All right, so Winchester forged, this is 115 grain, this is 50 rounds. Let's see how it runs. And as I said, the mag's a little weird to load, but let's try it. Well, all right. Okay, all out. Well, a little weird to load, but it ran. I don't know why. Maybe it was just the overall length on that particular ammo or what. It just offered a little bit stranger resistance than the rest of the magazines, but it seemed to run. All right, this is more of the Norma 115 plinking ammo, all right? Again, this is gonna be a little loud even with the can on there. And the failure to feed was with this ammunition. So let's see if this mag will run without any type of difficulty. All right, 50 rounds. That thing does protrude out of the bottom in a very Looney Tunes-like fashion, but definitely cool. And it is worth noting that these magazines will also work with the Scorpion as well, as far as I know, with the extensions. Okay. Yeah, buddy. Okay. Failure to feed. Failure to feed. Failure to feed. Mac bracket's doing its job. Trigger reset again. Trigger reset. Yeah, trigger's not resetting every time on this mag. Yep. Okay, look, that trigger was failing to reset several times in that magazine. I am gonna pop this top cover because there's a lot of carbon shooting around in this bad boy from the suppressor use. I'm gonna make sure that we haven't got a chunk of carbon or some bull crap underneath the trigger mating surfaces that would be, you know, keeping that from happening. So we're gonna pop this open, and this is actually a pretty good test too to see how well that optic is gonna maintain a 0 after being removed from the gun, or at least, you know, opened up. So let's look at this trigger real quick here. Let's see, there is a lot of crap in there. You know, she may just be dry, Chad. Let's see. Now, oddly enough, we couldn't have planned this out better. We are actually using ALG Go Juice. Now, that was not planned, but we are running an ALG trigger. We're gonna lube it with ALG Go Juice. All right, let's put a little bit of this on there. and see if that alleviates our situation, because we are running her pretty dry here. Probably should have lubricated this thing a little better than we did, but I love the dual buffer assembly in there. You know, that heavy piece of rubber really keeps that bolt from moving too hard to the rear, and really helps alleviate any bolt bounce issues, which in a 9 is probably not as big of a deal. Okay, 50 round drum, 150 grain Semtech. Let's see if our trigger reset issue, hopefully she was just dry, I think might be our issue there. So we'll lock the bolt mechanism to the rear. We do have lots of chunks of carbon and everything coming out of this thing, so maybe we had a little chunk of carbon up under the trigger. Okay, 50 round drum. Now that's cute. Nice compact package. Let's see how it runs. Now it's worth noting that the drums do not lock the bolt to the rear on the last shot, and it only feeds off the right side of the tower. So let's see how that works. Failure to feed. Failure to feed. Yeah, look, look how that round got caught in there. Failure to feed. All right, well, the drum's a no-go. I will say that clearing stoppages, it seems like there are a lot of places inside the receiver that a full round or a piece of brass can get caught up in there. So just keep that in mind. And I don't know if maybe it's just the profile of this particular projectile on this 150. I'm gonna pause the camera for a moment, and what we'll do is we will load this mag with some standard ammo in terms of the shape, and maybe that'll help it feed, because these are 150s. It might be a little bit of a weird shape for this. So let me do that, and we'll test it out, and we also want to make sure our trigger's resetting. Let's do that. All right, we took the 150 grain ammo out of the drum and added some 115 grain Norma. All right, and I wanted to make an observation too as we go along here. There's big old chunks of carbon here on the table that came out of this action. So this Omega 9K has been shot a heck of a lot. So that's very well possible that I broke loose some carbon that made its way back into action. It's possible that that carbon could have been what was keeping the trigger from resetting, but we lubed it. Let's give it a try. I'm just reporting what I see as I see it, and we're just taking you guys along for what we're seeing. All right, 115s. Okay, that fed. Okay, 50 round drum, 115 grain Norma ammo test. I'm thinking it was just the ogive on that ammo, but let's see. Oh boy. Okay, trigger did not reset that time. Trigger reset. Trigger reset. All out. Remember, no last round bolt hold open on the drum. So no major issues out of the drum that particular time with the 115 grain ammunition. I'm gonna have to look into why our ALG trigger is not resetting. I'll report back and let you guys know, but I mean, after all the ammo we just ran, she sure is skanky. So I think that maybe after a good cleaning, we're probably gonna be looking pretty good. I mean, there is a lot of crud in there, so we'll let you guys know what we find out. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, guys, and Facebook. We post a lot of behind the scenes stuff and little, updates and reports and things like that. So you'll probably see this on Instagram sooner than you will in another YouTube video. We will get down to the, the bottom of the issue. And when we do the magazine test on the Scorpion and the AKV, we'll report back and let you know what we found. I'm thinking it's just really, really skanky. She's real dirty, but we'll definitely let you guys know what we come up with. Thank you so much for watching today's video. You guys are awesome. Thanks for the support. Definitely want to take a moment to thank all of our Patreon supporters. You guys are amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Also, those of you who purchased t-shirts over on Ballistic Ink, thank you so very much for the support. Also, we've got some great man cans for sale over on the site. If you love what we do and you wish to support us, there's a lot of great ways you can do so. Thank you so much. Those man cans are looking real great. Go over there and check them out. Some really cool boxes on the site for sale. We'll see you soon. Many more videos on the way. Thanks, guys.